his wife Nadine Menendez, and 3 New Jersey businessmen, while Hannah, Jose Uribe, and Fred Davies for bribery offenses. The investigation that led to these charges has been run out of the Southern District of New York. The indictment alleges that between 2018 and 2022, Senator Menendez, the senior U.S. Senator from New Jersey and the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and his wife Nadine Menendez, engaged in a corrupt relationship with Hannah, Uribe, and Davies. The indictment alleges that through that relationship, the senator and his wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes in exchange for Senator Menendez using his power and influence to protect and to enrich those businessmen and to benefit the government of Egypt. The indictment alleges that Hannah, Uribe, and Davies provided bribes in the form of cash, gold, home mortgage payments, a low-show or a no-show job for Nadine Menendez, a Mercedes-Benz, and other things of value to the senator and his wife. Now, constituent service is part of any legislator's job. Senator Menendez is no different. And as we explain in the indictment, there are things that Senator Menendez says he can do for his constituents and things that he says he cannot do for his constituents. He put it all on his Senate website. So for instance, it says he cannot compel an agency to act in someone's favor. It says he cannot influence matters involving a private business. It says he cannot get involved in criminal matters or cases, period. But we allege that behind the scenes, Senator Menendez was doing those things for certain people, the people who were bribing him and his wife. Now let me say a little bit more about the conduct that's alleged in the indictment. The indictment alleges that Senator Menendez took several actions as part of this corrupt relationship. First, the indictment alleges that Senator Menendez used his power and influence, including his leadership role on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, to benefit the government of Egypt in various ways. Among other actions, Senator Menendez allegedly provided sensitive, non-public U.S. government information to Egyptian officials and otherwise took steps to secretly aid the government of Egypt. We also allege that Senator Menendez improperly pressured a senior official at the U.S. Department of Agriculture to protect a lucrative monopoly that the government of Egypt had awarded to Hannah, a lucrative monopoly that Hannah then used to fund certain bribe payments. Second, the indictment alleges that Senator Menendez used his power and influence to try to disrupt a criminal investigation and prosecution undertaken by the New Jersey Attorney General's office related to an associate and a relative of Uribe. Third, the indictment alleges that Senator Menendez used his power and influence to try to disrupt a federal prosecution of Davies in the District of New Jersey in 2 ways. First, by seeking to install a United States attorney who he thought could be influenced with respect to Davies, and second, by trying to influence that office to act favorably in Davies' case. And as we allege in the indictment, the senator agreed to do these things and use his power in this way because Hannah was paying bribes, because Uribe was paying bribes, and because Davies was paying bribes. Fortunately, the public officials the senator sought to influence did not bend to the pressure. That's a good thing. Now, as part of this investigation, special agents with the FBI executed search warrants on the residence and safe deposit box of Senator Menendez and Nadine Menendez in New Jersey. When they got there, they discovered approximately $500,000 of cash stuffed into envelopes and closets. Some of the cash was stuffed in the senator's jacket pockets. And some of the envelopes of cash contained Davies' fingerprints or Davies' DNA. That's not all. Agents also discovered a lot of gold that was provided by Davies and Hannah. And the FBI, of course, found the Mercedes-Benz that Uribe had provided them. Now, the items that the FBI uncovered are discussed in the indictment, which I encourage all of you to read carefully. Let's take a look at just some of the items. So as you can see here, this is the Mercedes-Benz that we allege that Uribe provided as part of the scheme. What you see here are 3 kilograms of gold. These 3 kilograms together are worth approximately $150,000. And of course, here you can see just a fraction of the cash that was uncovered as part of the scheme. Now, I want to make a couple of things very clear. First, my office remains firmly committed to rooting out public corruption without fear or favor and without any regard to partisan politics. That's in our DNA. Always has been, always will be. And second, this investigation is very much ongoing. We are not done. And I want to encourage anyone with information to come forward and to come forward quickly. And they can do that by reaching out to the FBI's tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Now, a case of this magnitude requires tremendous partnership. And I want to thank our partners at the FBI who have been with us since day one and have been absolutely incredible every step along the way. I also want to thank our partners at the IRS for their assistance in this investigation. I want to thank our colleagues from around the Department of Justice, who are far too many to name here and to thank specifically, but they have also been invaluable. And of course, I want to thank the career prosecutors from my office who are handling this investigation. They have done tremendous work. Eli Mark, Laura Pomerantz, Dan Richenthal, Paul Monteleone, and their supervisors, Rebecca Donaleski and Maureen Comey, the chiefs of our office's Public Corruption Unit. I now want to invite up to the podium FBI Assistant Director in Charge, James Smith. Jim.
Good morning. So I'm not going to go any further into the case as the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams explained, but what I want to talk about more or less is, hey, the FBI's the FBI investigating public corruption is one of our top priorities, and we will continue to investigate public corruption cases. I want to thank the agents, the team over here from the FBI, the IRS, for their hard work into this investigation. They've spent many hours and days and weeks and months working this investigation. I would also like to thank all the prosecutors from the Southern District of New York. I'd like to thank Damian Williams for his support in this particular case. I would like to thank the IRS for all their investigators who worked tirelessly along with the team here to investigate this case. Then I would also finally like to thank the DOJ's Public Integrity Section. So thank you very much for all your support in this.
All right, thank you, everyone.
All right, you've been listening to authorities announcing federal bribery charges against New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez and his wife Nadine. They allegedly accepted, according to the indictment, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bribes from 3 businessmen. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson is joining us now for more analysis on this indictment. Jessica, I mean, these are pretty, it's kind of astounding. Chanel and I were just listening to the attorneys there making the case for this indictment, and the federal agents who executed these search warrants on his New Jersey home, the senator's New Jersey home, said that they found, and you saw those images, they found some nearly $500,000 in cash, in clothing, over $100,000 worth of these gold bars. The senator has faced scrutiny from federal authorities in the past. Even back in 2017, there was a corruption trial that ended in a mistrial because the jury was unable to reach a verdict in that case. But this is incredibly serious.
This is incredibly serious. I would argue, Vlad, that the other case was serious too. It was just shows you that these cases can be difficult to win. But this is a very serious case going to the heart of someone's ability to be a public servant. And really, the allegation here is that he abused the public trust, that he used this official position and he used it to increase his own bank account and his wife's bank account. He didn't use it to serve us. He didn't use it to make decisions in the public good. What he tried to do is to use this elected office. He was first appointed, then reelected. He used this office to try and enrich himself. And that is deadly serious when it comes to our elected officials.
I wonder if you can speak to us about how we got here to this moment. We talked about the previous indictment and charges. 2 times this has happened now in just the last decade. I mean, what does this say about where we're at?
Well, it shows that Senator Menendez may have engaged in not just one course of conduct that was problematic, but another course of conduct. Now, it is, I don't even think it's fair to say an open secret, but everybody has known that Senator Menendez has been under scrutiny with respect to this federal investigation. It's a years-long investigation. And as we see, I think what really comes to mind is this isn't about one instance. This is about Senator Menendez abusing the position he has as a public servant to enrich himself when it comes to a number of different people and different instances. This is what you would call a broad and sprawling indictment, because not that one set of bribery allegations is not serious, but what we have here is allegations that he helped a number of people, for instance, trying to thwart the criminal investigation, providing a foreign government with sensitive information. That this is, frankly, the allegations are, I think, how he conducts business.
Yeah, and Jessica, I want to hone in on that particular charge. The indictment alleges that, as you point out, that the senator sought to benefit the government of Egypt, a foreign government, including providing secret, sensitive U.S., not secret perhaps, but sensitive U.S. government information. That alone is as serious of a charge. I mean, corruption, you might find a lot of people watching this and say, oh, a politician in Washington corrupt? I mean, breaking news. But these are serious allegations. And in this one particular case, I would think that as a sitting United States senator, if you're being accused even of doing something like this, at the very least, you should consider resigning. But it sort of boggles the mind.
Vlad, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because the very first class I ever taught was a class called Campaign Finance Law. And I think a lot of people feel that our current legal system actually does allow for bribery. As you said, breaking legal news, an elected official or a senator acted in a corrupt way, because what our system allows is for donors to give large sums of money and spend large sums of money to elect our officials. That's just the system we've created. Some people think it protects our freedom of speech. Some people think it is, as I said, legalized bribery. And so that's why I'm always astounded when there are allegations that jump that line from all of the behavior that's allowed to something that crosses the line into allegedly illegal behavior, where you do see those gold bars, where you do see that cash, where you have allegations, again, of essentially selling sensitive government information, which I'm not using this term in a legal way, but in the common vernacular, that makes you a traitor to our government. And so it is, I talk to my students so much about how can that possibly be legal? How can it be legal that an individual can spend $10 million independent of you to help you get elected and then come to you and say, I have a bill I want you to pass? That can be legal. What we're seeing here, these allegations, that is something that is not legal. And that's why, again, it's astounding how far over the line these allegations are. And I think you're right to point out that we're not just talking about this kind of indirect, amorphous public harm. What we're talking about here is potentially putting us at risk. I mean, we've heard this phrase before in a different situation, but by sharing our government information with a foreign government.
And Jessica, before we leave you, I just want to ask, from a procedural perspective, what are next steps? How does this play out?
So next steps obviously are that there will be an arraignment. We are sadly familiar with next steps when it comes to federal criminal cases now. So there will be an arraignment. Senator Menendez will give his plea. I expect that he will plead not guilty, or there may be some sort of plea deal that is on the table, because again, we have seen fairly damning evidence. It will be interesting to see whether or not and how they treat Senator Menendez and his wife, and if they try to get one to turn on the other.
Right.
And then there will be what is now kind of typical motion practice, where Senator Menendez will try and get certain evidence excluded, and the prosecution will say, no, that should be in. And then ultimately the conclusion could be a trial. Senator Menendez was at least partially successful in the past. He's obviously hoping that history repeats itself. Let's all remember, this is a very different set of allegations and different laws at issue.
A very interesting conversation, Jessica Levinson. Thanks so much. We'll have to leave it there for now. And staying here in New York, investigators zero in on the possible cause of that charter bus crash that killed 2 educators. Still to come, a closer look at what may have gone wrong there and an update on the high schoolers who were also hurt in that crash. Stay with us. We'll be right back.